Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Sean Salisbury, good enough to join us as he does every single Tuesday. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you today?
Doing awesome. Let's start with the injury to Derek Carr. Have you ever had an AC joint sprain?
I have, in college.
What can you tell us what that's like and what the challenges are and timetable and stuff like that?
Yeah, if it's the throwing or non-throwing, depending on who it is. For mine was, I believe, the throwing shoulder. It's the AC. It's one of those where what's your threshold of pain? Think, for instance, you're strong. Go lay on the way of the movement of the AC joint. Of you go normal bench press. Just picture this, Maddie, and then go with your AC joint injury. Go and lower the weight, and it'll just go away. I mean, there's nothing there. You know what I'm saying? That movement had no strength in my AC joint to where you lower it, try to on that movement. Now, if you can handle on the throwing motion, and if you can handle it on a throwing shoulder, the pain threshold, it's fine. It was, and I did not need surgery. I mean, it takes a while. It's time now, depending on the depth of it. I did not have to have surgery on it, but it kept me out a handful of weeks. And it was right after, it was between the end of the season and a bowl game, so I had some chance to recover, but the pain was it can be excruciating, and it can be very difficult, but depending on how severe and where, but the AC joint, depending on throwing or non-throwing, depending on who it is. It is Derek's a throwing shoulder. I can't remember.
Yeah, it is. It's on his throwing shoulder.
Yep. Yeah. That'll deal with more threshold of pain. I mean, you could get by with it, with maybe a harness underneath on a non-throwing, but on a throwing shoulder. But the threshold of pain, and hopefully you don't land on it again. But I got hit and landed on the shoulder, so there's no real strength in it in mine when you'd go down on the top of it. Is now, but at the time where it was like, man, the strength between the left and the right shoulder until it healed was enormously different. It's just, to me, it was at the time, how much pain can you handle, and with his throwing motion, how much will it change?
So we don't know for how long Derek Carr is going to be out, but the Saints did sign Jake Luton today off the Panthers practice squad. They had to add some depth behind Jameis. Look, you and I, Sean, over the past several years we've been doing this, we've talked ad nauseum about Jameis, what his ceiling is, all that sort of stuff. How much, if at all, does the Saints' offense, what they're trying to do here, change with Jameis Winston as opposed to Derek Carr?
I can't imagine very much. Neither one of them are are guys that are going to beat you like a Jalen Hurts or a Josh Allen, where their feet are the main thing. Now, both have the ability on a broken play to go get you some yards and get down. Both make their living, from the pocket and some off play action. I don't think you have to change it. It's going to come down to decision making for that quarterback. Over the course of time, I feel like Derek Carr's been a little bit more accurate passer, and trust him on that. But for Jameis, I don't think it changed the offense one bit. And they're more similar, and both can push the ball down the field. I would say Jameis' arm's probably a tad stronger, at least when he came into the league. Carr's a scrappy guy and tough and accurate, and they both will put up numbers. But Jameis has to protect that. The thing for Jameis is decisions and protecting the football. But if you're play calling and trying to move an offense, I don't think you step back and say, well, it's not like going from Jalen Hurts, who's two-dimensional football player, to Tom Brady, who's a pocket guy. You're going to your offense should stay pretty much intact. And now it's just, as you go through the week of game plan, good coaches will find out throughout the week what you do your best. And they've seen enough of Jameis, they know. And now with Carr, depending on, how severe and how long. But I don't think you have to do a whole lot of changing. This just comes down to decision-making on reading coverage properly and getting guys in their strength and what they do best. But neither one of them, you're designing plays on the edge for them. It's usually, they'll make a few plays with their feet, but both can push the ball down the field. And if you can protect it, you're not losing a lot with Jameis. But the key is if. really protect it. And you saw when he first came to New Orleans, he went on the overprotection side.
Yeah.
You don't want to coach the aggressiveness out of him, but you'll be in every game if you protect the football. I look at the Texans here just as an example. I mean, C.J. Stroud's playing out of his mind considering he doesn't have a lot of weapons, and the line has not been fully healthy since the start of the season. Yet he still pushes the ball down the field and is aggressive, but it protects it. He hasn't thrown a pick yet. So there is those guys that can let it rip. It's just decision making. But I don't think you make wholesale changes to an offense. It's all about the guy with the ball in his hand. Where's he going to throw it and get through coverage?
Saints will be in Houston in 3 weeks. I could see Stroud up close and personal there. One more on the Saints. Sean Salisbury is our guest on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. This was incredible. One of our guests earlier told us this number. The pressure rate and the sacks on Carr through the first 3 weeks is double the pressure rate and sacks that Andy Dalton had a year ago in New Orleans. So the offensive line has been putrid. They get Alvin Kamara back this week.
Yep.
How much of a help, if at all, is that considering your offensive line really hasn't been able to either run block or pass block?
Huge. The threat alone, Matty. There's certain guys, in the league that now I don't know how the usage factor. I mean, if it was me, the ball's not heavy and his legs should be pretty damn fresh. So you have to. The greatest thing about Kamara is when you're a defensive coordinator, he's going to use up a lot of your practice time this week. One is, depending on who the quarterback is, and in this case, is the healthy one or the one that may not be. I don't know if they've announced yet. I think is it day-to-day right now, Matty? They're going to see as the week goes on, correct?
But
right.
It's so hard to imagine.
Winston. Yeah, it's Winston. To me, after I had mine, the threshold of pain, but just it almost feels like a slap in the face to a veteran that you're telling me Carr can go out at 75% and operate it better than Jay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Jameis Winston, who's had some success in the league. So I would plan, if I'm the defensive team and if I'm my staff, I would plan on that I'm going to have Jameis Winston as my quarterback. Well, with adding Alvin Kamara, the defensive coach now knows who the weapons are, thinking, okay, they're adding what we haven't seen this year, but let's go back and look at tape when he's on the field and coordinator and how they're going about it. You got to defend the width of the field now. And you also got to defend play action because Kamara is so versatile, catching the ball out of the backfield. He can still hit it inside. He's got some burst. And, again, he'll be fresh-legged. So just in your preparation alone, it's going to use up practice time. So it's an advantage for the Saints, obviously, to have him, but it also eats up some practice time. And now how you deploy him, and you mentioned the pass protection, the pressure rate, and Carr, who's been an accurate thrower and gets the ball out the ironic thing, he gets the ball out pretty quickly, too, in his career, whether you take a lot of sacks. The ball comes out when he makes a decision pretty quickly, and Jameis, he likes to get depth and push the ball down the field. So I'm assuming that having him on the field, meaning Kamara, has to at least put some skates on the pass rush a little bit, because if you decide to over pass rush and everything's pinned back to go get the quarterback, Kamara could gash and get some yards, but the screen game, flexing him out and trying to create mismatches, if you can motion him and see if a linebacker or safety's covering him, I would deploy some formations. I would move Kamara around. Even this offensive system is not new to him. So his presence alone will make the defensive coordinator use up time. And if it was me, one of the more versatile guys in the league when he's healthy and on the field and when he has been eligible to play, Alvin Kamara creates a major problem. I'd like to see him touch the ball. I would think that 20-plus touches would be in order, and anything you can do to slow down any pass rush in the league, those guys out of the backfield can do it, especially since they can catch the ball. Mismatch problems, you got to find a way to create them this week.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.